Some spectacular footage from Eddie George's site. Hemet Action Eye News, you're about to see a head-on collision in Hemet. As my lovely equipment works. See if she plays. There she goes. Start with it down the boulevard. You see the guy make a U-turn there, which is quite... Then he looks like he's going into a driveway and kaboom! Be careful when you're making those U-turns. Let's play it again. See the guy make the U-turn and he's going to come back into this driveway, I'm assuming into a business. Makes the one right in front and then blammo! Good coverage there, probably from a business surveillance or a ring camera from Eddie George's Hemet Eye News. Nude intruder arrested in an LA home. Here we go.
Apparently at around 1:52 in the morning, so this was just before 2 a.m., police were called to the scene. Let's get into the video now. You can see the police on the porch of this house. They went inside. They conducted a building search because they were told that a man without clothes, aka a naked man, was inside of the home doing who knows what. They were able to get this man in custody and take him out. And you see them walking. The man's not saying much, but you definitely see who this man is. And so it's leaving the community questioning.
Oh, maybe we'll get to the point. We're getting to the point probably where you won't have the blackout spots on regular TV. Be like OnlyFans or whatever. How'd you like to wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning to a nude intruder in your home? It's becoming far too familiar. A package explodes in the big brown truck. Here we go.
Package explosion in a delivery truck.
Mike Case is above it in Sky 5. Hi, you have additional details, Mike?
Well, we do, and you know, Lou, it was kind of disturbing here for the driver of this UPS truck. He smelled what believed to be some type of a noxious fumes, called the fire department right away, and they responded a truck and a paramedic ambulance out here. They believe, or the driver believes, possibly a package had exploded in the UPS van. You can see it right here at Runnymede, just a little bit west of Winnetka.
How'd you like to be driving a UPS truck and all of a sudden you got packages exploding? We'll see if it was a intentional terror attack or just something gone wrong. We'll find out. The cat fight broke out between Elon Musk and El Presidente Donald J. Trump today with the two trading barbs after Musk left the White House as his Department of Government Efficiency term ran out. And he was not necessarily big on the big, beautiful bill and that started it, and it escalated. We'll have more on that in a few. Good, so we got an update on those kittens that were dumped in San Bernardino. Here's ABC 7.
Bruce San Bernardino says it appears a man and a woman were dumping kittens in a dirt field.
Look, she's dumping them like they're trash. You guys came to dump cats. It's hot. This is not humane.
The woman says she took out her cell phone, started recording, and asked the other woman why she was dumping at least 4 kittens and a cat from a large cage. The Good Samaritan and her friend were able to take the pets to a local shelter, but she says several others got away.
So there's no excuse. And like I've told the officer myself, I'd rather be known as the mean lady that drops off the kittens at somebody's door, ring doorbell, as irresponsible as it looks, than leaving them at a place where, you know, we know for a fact it's full of coyotes.
And she brings up a very good point, because we've had sightings of coyotes in Moreno Valley, Mission Grove, and the Riverside area. So that is a very big concern moving forward. We got a lot more local stuff. national news, polling results, Supreme Court decisions, and much, much more to cover in the next hour or so as we move along. Well, here we go. There's a funky slide guitar music that comes on every Monday through Friday. Live, almost 5, Evil Hippie Network, Rumble X, all that good stuff. YouTube on the Roy Blecker channel as we try to work through all the ridiculous issues that you seem to find up on that fine network. Lots of spectacular stuff today, none more interesting than Elon Musk and Donald J. trading barbs like nobody's business all across in a true social war for the ages, as they say. We'll get to some of that stuff. Some of the interesting polling numbers coming out. Harry Enton of CNN, of all places, had some very interesting statistics on where people are really at, and it will probably surprise a lot, especially since the rhetoric we were hearing not too long ago about how London Bridge was falling down, the economy's going to crash, Trump's going to have us in World War III, and the whole rigmarole. The vast majority of the American people don't see it that way, despite the Mockingbird, old guard, dying media tried to inflict on the American people. It doesn't seem to be working. I think of a lot of reason of it is people just don't tune into the traditional broadcasting venues like they used to. And maybe that's a good thing. Maybe, they're into True Social and X and TikTok and Instagram and all that other stuff. So maybe they're getting a different perspective on these situations, which, of course, there could be the good, the bad, and the ugly part of that. We all know how that works. Good to see that at least they got some of those kittens that were dumped there and that. And there's 2 or 3 sightings I saw in Moreno Valley, a couple in Riverside, Mission Grove area, up there, because that's right behind Sycamore Canyon, which is a lot of, if you want to say, what rural area are not built upon lands in the Inland Empire that are left. That's right, because you take the 60 and the 215 split, all that east of there, kind of where you see that is kind of the Sycamore Canyon area. And there's still a lot of wildlife. I don't know if the mountain lions probably, unless it is, but I will say since we didn't have much rain and we're into an El Nino period where we probably won't have much rain this season unless their predictions go to hell like they have the past 2 or 3 years. But when you see that, coyotes, rattlesnakes, all sorts of wildlife, that's why I say you may see, we still have mountain lions up in Box Springs Mountain. So it's not totally out of the possibility that you may see a mountain lion or two rolling around, but that will be to, as they say, be determined. One thing, in the Moreno Valley shutting down the special ed school on that, but I want to just bump on this a little bit before we get into it. Barbara Hale, she was a former Riverside County school board member, one of the 7 down in the Temecula area. she put this post up on her FB page. Let's see if we can try and get it. Should be there. California Teachers Association is the reason California education is terrible. This has been a contention of mine for a long time. California Teachers Association cannot say or do anything. The teachers authorize that through their membership, through the people they hire, to the people they hire approving these posts. So essentially, every member of the California Teachers Association, unless they've opted out of the political part, but this might not even be a political part of it, they are trying to crush charter schools in California. Make no mistake about it. So their take action today, support accountability for charter school operators. Well, nobody's going to be against that. Sure, there's going to be bad charter schools, and those need to be weeded out. They're far less than the public schools that less than 40% of the kids are at grade level in the California schools. 5.5 million students, K through 12. So what is your solution, teachers? We're going to come up with this grading system instead of every 10 points, 90 to 100 on a page is A, 89 to 80 is a B. We're going to drop it to 20. Oh, an A, you only have to get 80%. You could have got a B, just barely squeaked in a B last year, and they're trying to get it where, oh, well, you'd get an A. And then on down to that. You got to get 1 out of 5. You can only, if you only answer 1 out of 5 correctly, they want that to be a failure. Well, why even bother? But California teachers are in it all for the dollars. Highest paid, I think, salary and benefits. If you prorate it out to a full year, they're making over $180,000 per year as a compensation package. They're not underpaid. In fact, based on performance, by any honest metric, they're way overpaid based on their results. Ask any employer who's desperately looking for any kind of workers, from a guy sweeping the floor to Elon Musk type engineering talent. So again, I agree with Barbara Hale's post. I just wish more people would hold teachers accountable and not say the union's a teachers union or the SCIAU union or whatever, Riverside Sheriff's Association. It's them. It's the members that are doing this. So we need some more honesty, I believe, in our reporting. So we all have the tools available to us to make decisions, judgments on the people running our schools, the people we're electing, and that. And then why I say it's very important that we attend public meetings. If 10% of the people attended one meeting a month, there'd be a profound effect on public policy. Of course, the big one that broke out a little bit yesterday when Elon Musk tweeted out the big beautiful bill has some problems. And for the most part, I would take the position of Elon Musk. It spends too much. They haven't cut enough. Now, Trump is promising through executive order, executive directives, that he will be able to cut more spending, which I will hold him to his word from that. But I also get the predicament, situation, the reality of what Trump is sitting in. They've barely got 4 votes they can give up in the House of Representatives. So it's not like they got a 30 or 40, which we should have had, and that's a story for a different day. If we'd had a plus 30 in the House and a plus 6 or 7 like we should have had in the Senate, there could have been more cuts because you could have had more defections. Okay, so if Senator Pork Barrel Graham is opposed to cutting the ridiculous military spending, not defense spending, military spending in his state, well, okay, Lindsey, vote against it. But in the current climate where you only got 3 votes in the Senate and 5 votes maybe in the House as a cushion, you don't have as much leeway, 2 or 3 or 4 House members, 4 House members, 3 or 4, actually 4, because you got J.D. Vance right now, 4 senators from the Republican Party can hold up the deal. Because you can, unless some miracle happens, the Democrats are going to go however Chucky Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries tell them to vote. That I would be surprised. They may get 1. Maybe 1 senator from time to time, maybe 1 or 2 in the House, but that's usually about it. They keep a pretty good iron fist on what's going on there. So, while I agree with Elon Musk and Rand Paul that it doesn't go as far as many of us, probably the majority of us, would like, it's probably at this date and time probably as close as you can get. Maybe the Senate can squeeze a few more cuts out of this deal. I get what Musk is talking about when he says, hey, you senators and congressmen know this wasn't right, and you know who you are. But that started yesterday, and then it boiled into an all-out social media war on Truth Social and X, like not many have seen in quite a long time. We're going to run with the clip. Here's one clip of showing that the bromance between Elon and Trump, I don't know if it's over, but it sure hit a big fork in the road today. Here's Donald J.
He's upset. Remember, he was here for a long time. You saw a man who was very happy when he stood behind the Oval desk. And even with the black eye, I said, do you want a little makeup? We'll get you a little makeup. But he said, no, I don't think so, which is interesting and very nice. He wants to be who he is, so you could make that statement too, I guess. Look, Elon and I had a great relationship. I don't know if we're well anymore. I was surprised because you were here. Everybody in this room practically was here as we had a wonderful send-off. He said wonderful things about me. You couldn't have nicer, said the best things. He's worn the hat. Trump was right about everything. And I am right about the great, big, beautiful bill. We call it a great, big, beautiful bill because that's what it is. And again, biggest tax cuts in history, biggest economic development moves anywhere. We've never done anything like it. He's upset. Remember, he was.
And it is. It's absolutely beyond the pale, I believe, of there's only so much you can do. And I think at this point of the ball game, that may be it. Like I say, hopefully Stephen Miller, Deputy Chief of Staff in charge of policy for Trump, is correct. They will be able to make more spending cuts as the year goes on. I do think they really should have hit the goal in this budget cycle of $1 trillion worth of cuts. But the reality of the situation is, like I say, with the tight margins in the House and the Senate, as much as I would have and many others would have liked to seen it, that's where we're at. So one of the things that Elon tweeted out today in response to Trump's comments that he was disappointed with Elon, helped him a lot. And as was said, he alleges Elon knew everything that was going on better than anybody, yet he had no disagreements. Here's Trump in the Oval.
But if they picked him, I would have won Pennsylvania. I won it by a lot. But I'm very disappointed because Elon knew the inner workings of this bill better than almost anybody sitting here, better than you people. He knew everything about it. He had no problem with it. All of a sudden he had a problem, and he only developed the problem when he found out that we're going to have to cut the EV mandate, because that's billions and billions of dollars, and it really is unfair. We want to have cars of all types. Electric, we want to have electric, but we want to have a gasoline, combustion. We want to have different. We want to have hybrids. We want to have all. We want to be able to sell everything. And when that was cut, and Congress wanted to cut it, it became a little bit different, and I can understand that. But he knew every aspect of this bill. He knew it better than almost anybody, and he never had a problem until right after he left. And if you saw the statements he made about me, which I'm sure you can get very easily, it's very fresh on tape, he said the most beautiful things about me. And he hasn't said bad about me personally, but I'm sure that'll be next. But I'm very disappointed in Elon. I've helped Elon a lot.
So it's the personal stuff did come out. We'll get to that in a minute. But Trump's alleging that because the electric vehicle mandate is off the table, that is why Elon's PO'd. And again, Trump made some more statements. I don't know, some people saying they're getting taken off or they're deleting them. But once you post them, if you're president or Elon Musk, 10 million people have saved them. So I don't know what the, why you would delete. I mean, I guess you say, well, you know, I took it back or whatever. But again, if Elon had a problem, this is where I think Elon may be losing a little credibility. If he had a problem with the big, beautiful bill, he should have said and presented, maybe because he's got the platform to do it, and the gravitas and people would pay attention, he should have proposed the complete budget that he had with the $1 trillion cuts or what he thinks should have been done before they voted on it. Then I would give Elon some more credibility. At least he could have said, hey, put it out on the line. Maybe they would have even had him down there to testify in a subcommittee hearing or something. You know, in finance or the budget committee. If he would have said, this is the total budget, and I believe One of the biggest disagreements I have with the Trump bill is we need to cut military spending, and that's not defense spending. We could defend this country on about $500 billion, half a trillion, 500 billion or so a year. We're up to $1 trillion in this budget. And up from 850 or whatever the last one. So we still haven't tackled one of the biggest, if not the biggest, point of waste, fraud, and abuse, and that's the military budget. And I'm not talking about the defense budget again, not the actual budget that goes to keeping our troops active, keeping them armed, keeping them fed and paid, and everything else. For defense of the United States, we could do that at 500 billion, 600 billion tops. I'm somewhere in that range. We could have cut about 250 billion out of the military budget from last year. That would have been at least $250 billion savings Elon was talking about, or would have provided that. Now, that's what I've said the number should be. And I believe if Musk would have put those numbers out there of what he thought should be done or what specifically they thought should be cut, you know, it's nice to say waste, fraud, and abuse. It's another thing to get down to the, as they say, nitty gritty of it. But as Elon said, that was false. The bill was never shown to him, not even once, and was passed in the dead of night so fast almost no one in Congress even read it. That I will agree with. Probably most in Congress did not read the bill. I can't believe Musk had no heads up, no idea what was coming up. And but this 3 or 4 times, or 3 or 4 months while he's been head of DOGE, Department of Government Efficiency, he had as much ability as anybody on this planet to come up with a budget himself through the Department of Government Efficiency and saying this should be the defense budget, this should be how much we should do Social Security, this is what we're getting the waste, fraud, and abuse of that on down the line. Would have provided, I believe, much better cover in his situation and given him more credibility, more legs to stand on. Again, a week ago when Musk termed for Department of Government Efficiency, he's standing with Trump in the Oval Office and accepting the, key to the United States, one of the most prestigious awards, and no, nothing on top of that. So, again, when you've got two very ego-driven, plus, highly competitive, plus, dudes going there, it was almost inevitable this was going to happen. And happen it did. But it was very, very, very entertaining, I would say, to watch what was going on today with all the back and forth. But as we say, it all comes out in the wash. See if we can pick up some more of that. Oh, the other big one is, well, one of the other big ones. Musk putting out, Musk says Trump would have lost the 2024 election without him. I believe that's a true statement. I mean, I don't say it's exclusively Elon Musk, but if he wouldn't have put his weight behind with Twitter and the amount of just sheer publicity a guy like Elon Musk and attention he can grab, and especially since he was very leftist center leaning up until the last couple of years, basically when the COVID con crisis hit. So from a pure political standpoint, he's probably right. Or let me say, if Musk wouldn't have came out as strongly for Trump, it would have made Trump's path to victory very, very, very difficult. Yes, the girlies are finally fighting. As I say, it was like a cat fight of that. Aaron Rupar says Trump suggests Elon has Trump derangement syndrome. I don't think he has that. Maybe we'll see how it plays out. But one of the Trump quotes of the day was, "I don't know if we will have a great relationship with Elon anymore." I imagine they're probably a little bit teed off, but that's understandable of that. And this was an interesting quote Elon put up, and why, when you're in the public eye, people bring up, and I've been in this situation, people bring up what she said 10 years ago, and Trump says, "I cannot believe the Republicans are extending the debt ceiling. I'm a Republican and I'm embarrassed." That was 12 years ago plus, back in January of 13. And I agree with the Wall Street Mav who posted it. I hope this doesn't create a long-term, strained, damaged relationship between Elon and Trump. Because again, Elon has a lot of influence, and that can be good, bad, or ugly, and he's a great ally to have on your side, and again, Trump probably is playing with a little bit of fire. And again, Trump put out 13 years ago, no member of Congress should be eligible for re-election if our country's budget is not balances, deficits not allowed. I will agree with Eric Matheny on that, though. This is when this turned everything for Trump. Butler, Pennsylvania. Hands down, without a doubt. That was the key turning point in the 2024 presidential election. Not saying Trump could have won without Elon's support, but it would have been a lot more difficult. I don't think he would have swept all 7 of the swing states. Musk is saying they would have lost control of the House and had a thin margin in the Senate. I wouldn't disagree with that. The other big one is Elon said that the reason the Epstein tapes were not released was, and there it is, he says, time to drop the really big bomb at the real Donald Trump, is in the Epstein files. That is the real reason they have not been made public. And that's a very good point. Or a lot of people, from the catastrophe of Pam Bondi, who said, yeah, we're going to release them, and then release what had already been released a couple of years ago. And everybody's sitting around looking at each other like, WTF? Where's the client list? Where's the dirt? Everybody looks for the dirt. 98.7% of the peeps want to hear the dirt. They don't want to hear the who, whys, and wherefores. They want to know the dirt. Show me the dirt. And Trump has denied, other than kicking Epstein out of Mar-a-Lago, having really anything to do with the whole Epstein crowd. I really hope that's the case. I hope the reason why the Epstein files have not been fully released is not because of the tweet that Elon Musk put out, but again, time will tell. That's going to be, I think, a lot of topic, especially on the other side. Now that this has come out, that's going to be an extremely red meat for the opposition. I would think I haven't monitored them today, but maybe you will this evening. What PMS, NBC, CNN, the New York Post, the WAPO, and all that are posting on this one, because I imagine they may be having a field day with that one. So I think there's points to be made on both sides. And yeah, if this is just a 1 or 2 day kind of dust up fight, boys will be boys, rich and powerful men, in a blank measuring contest. Okay, I get it. Happens every day. And that happens whether you're rich or poor. That's just part of being in the retarded half of the population. But I hope it's just a dust up, and I think it will be. In most cases, it is Trump, and I think with a guy like Elon, I think Trump and Elon will put a kibosh and to the Twitter war and renew. Maybe not as strong as the bromance was during the campaign in the first 4 months of the Trump administration, but I think they'll put their relationship back together. And the country will be better off for it, because Musk has a lot of really, very brilliant, talented guy. Caitlin Collins in the aforementioned CNN, as Trump called her, the nasty woman, when he was on with her in the town hall meeting during the campaign. As their blowup escalates, Trump suggests terminating Musk's federal contracts. From Donald J., the easiest way to save money in our budget, billions and billions of dollars, is to terminate Elon's governmental subsidies and contracts. I was always surprised that Biden didn't do it. Oh my. I don't think it would come to that point, especially with SpaceX. If they're getting rid of the electric car subsidies, I'm all for that. And if Elon's pissed about that, then that's his business problem. The SpaceX research has cost us a lot less money and we've gotten much more. We've got 3 times the benefit for half the money as if NASA would have done it. NASA's a totally corrupted, disabled, can't function, basically. Once great agency, now is basically in the toilet, as old Archie Bunker used to say. So, besides all the funny stuff and jokes going on and threats and all that, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. We'll see whose predictions are right. I imagine there's going to be some nobody's ever nobody's ever 100% right, no matter how you go. Nobody's ever 100% wrong either. I mean, you can do the flip side of that. So we'll see how this all works out. Why some of the reasons why you see, I think, a lot of this stuff coming on as we shift gears a little bit. This is a report on Fox News. If we can get it to play, yes.
In mental health among mothers with children up to the age of 17. 8.5% of the nearly 200,000 moms reported fair or poor mental health. That's a 63.6% increase since just 2016. So let's bring in Tessa Stuckey. She's a licensed professional counselor and a parenting coach to talk about this. Welcome to the show. We appreciate you joining us. So what is this about? Why are we seeing this increase? It's since 2016, so something's happening.
Right. So motherhood has always been challenging, but I think that we are finally seeing just how challenging it is with women's mental health when it comes to mothering. And there's many factors that are playing here, whether it be financial stressors, mothers feeling isolated, not feeling that community feel, and honestly spending a little too much time on social media.
What did she just say? Did she say the mental health crisis among mothers is them spending too much time on social media? That's why I want to see, and this touches off a little bit of what went on today with the Musk Trump catfight. The financial stresses, the lack of community. As you pack people in higher density housing, they become more isolated. This was the deal about the 3x5 screen that was supposed to make your world bigger. You're supposed to open up the whole world to you. It's made your world smaller because all you do, or you spend too much time doing this. Doing this. Oh, did somebody comment on that? Oh, did somebody say this? Oh, oh, maybe did Musk do a tweet? Or did my girlfriend do this? Or did that witch, Janie, down the street say whatever? Along with the density, has made your kids stupider. Look at the LAO, Legislative Analyst Report from the state of California about 10 years ago. Higher density housing, lower student achievement, lower income. It all ties together. And she tied it together there in about 10 seconds, 15 seconds. Lack of community, financial stress, too much time on social media. Again, I don't know that it's the information overload, the new way of doing things, the new media, different than back when we only had a few channels and stuff, the major networks were a lot more responsible and a lot presented the news and opinions much more fairly than they do now. When we lived more rurally, we all got along much better. We had more sense of community. I can tell you that from my city of Moreno Valley, going from 20,000 to 200,000. We had a much greater sense of community. We didn't have as much financial stress. You could afford to build a 2,000 square foot custom home on a 1/2 or 1 acre lot. Try to do that today in Moreno Valley on the average income. It just ain't happening. You don't even think about that. And again, the third component of this has been the explosion in social media the last 10 years. We're seeing played out exactly what the Legislative Analyst's Office said was happening and would happen in the future if we kept going down this road. Here we are 10 years later from that report, and here's this young lady saying exactly the same thing. Tessa is saying, hey, she's looks like at the age. She didn't know that time and place. These old farts like me, she never seen that. You know, she probably reads about it and sees the socio-economic consequences of it, but she still doesn't have the perspective of actually living in both of those worlds. So this is what I think most people, and we'll get into a little bit of this maybe when we cross over to KMET if we get to CNN's Harry Ennan's some of his latest polling.